Be more here. Before I start the video, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. So what I'm doing in this video here is we got a 2008 Ford E250. So it's a 08 Econoline van, E250. It's the single axle, single rear wheel. We're putting front rotors on it. So bear with me here, and I'm going to show you the process of getting your rotors off. And then when you go ahead and put the new ones on, everything is going to be in reverse. If I get to that point, I'll show you how to put them back on and torque down your axle nut and everything. That way you don't want to over tighten the bearings or under tighten them. You want them just right, and after about, I don't know, 50 miles or so, you want to double check it. You know, you don't have to pull the wheel off or nothing. You just pull your grease cap off, and then your, I don't know, cotter pin out, whatever, and then just tighten your axle nut a little bit. That's if it's loose or too tight, either or. Anyways, go ahead and get started on this here job. I don't want to be talking a lot. So what we have here is first you're going to jack it up. You're going to put a jack stand underneath of it. You want this thing to have a jack stand under it. You want to be safe here. This is a very heavy van. So you go ahead, take a 14 millimeter. First of all, 22 millimeter for the lug nuts, okay? 22 millimeter, take your wheel off. 14 millimeter, take your caliper off. And then 21 millimeter to take your caliper bracket off. Once you get all that off, you want to go ahead and, you see you got your cotter pin here, straighten that out, pull that out, take your axle nut off, and then your rotor will slide off. Bear with me here. I'm going to go ahead and show you the process. Alright, you're going to go ahead and set this up here. I'm going to go ahead, and this here cotter pin, you're going to straighten it out, okay? Once you straighten it out, I'm going to go ahead and I use wire cutters. There you go, there's your pin. Pull that out, put that in your little dust cap here. So the dust cap, I forgot to mention, that there sits on here. You just go ahead and tap it. I don't know, hammer, wrench, anything. Tap around the edges, and this thing pop right off, just like that, okay? So, get everything in your dust cap. Now this here's your axle nut. We're gonna go ahead and pull that off. Let's see, that looks like a 1 1/4 maybe. Yes, 1 1/4. Maybe not. You have this here locking cap. That comes off first. It's not a 1 1/4. Sorry. And it's not a 24. Hold on, let me get something bigger. Okay, so this axle nut is going to be a 27 millimeter. You can see that, 27. Alright, you see how before you take your rotor off, kind of check it. And there's no play in that, but it does spin perfectly. Okay, it's got a little bit of resistance. When you put this thing back on, you kind of want to get it in the same position. Your axle nut should not be tight at all, just snugged on there. Axle nut gets locked on with the cotter pin, so doesn't really need to be tight. Once I take this nut off, Your front bearing is going to want to come out. Like I said, this is a greasy job, so be caution. That goes in. Out goes your bearing. Let me go ahead and get a rag here. Alright. So, and these are heavy, so be careful. There's a trick to this. I'm going to show you guys. Let's see here. You put your axle nut back on. And then when you go to slide this thing off, you're going to use that axle nut to catch the bearing and seal. There you go. See that? The whole thing come off with it. There you go. Bam. That's it. Alright? So that's that. Take our axle nut back off. Put it where we know it's going to be in a good spot. There you go. And then we'll go ahead and get the new rotor. I'll show you guys how to put that back on. You got your new rotor here. You take your new rotor, and it's best to go ahead and repack them. But if you're just doing the rotors and you're not doing no extra maintenance or anything, go ahead and slap it all back in there. Maybe add a little grease to it, whatever you want to do. It's your personal preference here. This lady just wants rotors on her vehicle, so we're just going to do rotors. People like to save money, and I'm not against that. You want to go ahead and save you some money? Okay. Let's save some money. Alright. Okay. We got our seal back in there. We'll go ahead and add some grease to this axle here. Hold on. Alright, there you go. grease on there. Bearings are fine. We'll go ahead and slide this puppy, this new rotor on. If I didn't mention, sorry, but these are heavy. These things are about 40 pounds, 25, 30, 40 pounds, something like that. They're pretty heavy. Okay. So once you get your bearing on the backside along with your seal, there is a seal on the backside. So if you're going to do this and you want to replace all that, make sure you get a new seal and new bearings. Now when you do that, you'll have to repack everything because they won't come with grease. Now if it's already got bearings and they're good and your seal, you can reuse it, go ahead and do that to try to save you some money. You don't have to replace all this if you're just doing rotors. If you do this job right, you just replace the rotor. That's all you're doing. That's all I'm doing, just replacing the rotors. And you can repack the bearings if you want, but if they already got grease and they look good, no need for it. And that's just something the customer wants. So let's go ahead. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and check this once I get the wheel on. They're probably a little too tight. I'm going to leave it right there for now. Go ahead and get the wheel on, and then we'll check everything else once we get the wheel on. So now let's go ahead and put the rotor and everything back on. First we're going to put the bracket on. So here we go. Take the bracket. Bracket goes back here. Bottom bolt started. Alright. And these here bracket bolts are 21 millimeter. I'm going to go ahead and pause this. So I got the bracket on, 21 millimeter socket to put the bolts back in, and then to put the caliper on, it's 14 millimeter, okay? If you haven't collapsed your pistons already, you may need a caliper clamp. Okay, make sure these are nice and tight here. Go. And we'll go ahead and get the caliper on there. Here's your caliper. Go ahead and get your 14 millimeter bolts in. There's one bolt. And then you just go ahead and repeat the process. Just go ahead and repeat this on the other side here. Let's see. video is 15 minutes in. I really didn't want this to be too long of a video, but we're almost done. There you go, calipers on. Make sure your ABS wire is connected to the brake line, so everything's secure. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put the wheel on and then make sure that our rotor isn't too tight, okay? Okay, once you get your wheel on, what you want to do is you want to rotate it, okay? And as you rotate it, you want to go ahead and bear with me once again. As you rotate it, you want to check the tightness on it. So I'm going to tighten it some. As you tighten it, you want to make sure the wheel still spins pretty good. You don't want it to be too loose. You don't want it to be too tight. And at the same time, you want to check to make sure there's no play. Now, being that these bearings are already packed, we don't have to go cranking down real tight and all this. You want to make sure that wheel spins freely, but it's nice and snug at the same time. Once you get it nice and tight, just go ahead and back off a hair. Alright, let's go ahead and spin it. As we spin it, we'll back it off, and it should. Okay. Check that. We don't want it to play. Make sure it spins pretty good. Okay, it's spinning pretty good to me. There's no play. And there you go, that's it. So once you get all that done, you go ahead and get your little locking cap. You put it on top here. I may need to back that, tighten that a hair, that way I can get that cap on properly. There you go. You want everything to line up. Your cotter pin. There you go. I should be able to get the cotter pin right on in there. Get your cotter pin in there. There you go. Cotter pin is in. The wheel's nice and snug. Everything's good. And then you lock it down. And bend that over just like that. There you go. And then ultimately, once you're done doing all that, see here, double check it. No play. You want to put your cap back on. That's your dust cap. Go ahead. Put that back on. Take a rubber mallet. And grab a rubber mallet real quick. Dead blow is just as good. There you go, all done. All done. All right, same thing on the other side. 2008 E250 Ford Econoline van. 2008 Ford Econoline E250, okay? Front rotors. That's how it's done. Be more. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. There's more videos like this. If you need to know how to do anything, any questions, feel free to comment. Subscribe to my channel. Thumbs up. You have a good one, man.